What if I told you that the reason you're always tired has nothing to do with how much you sleep? I'm talking about that deep cellular exhaustion, the kind of tired where you open your eyes and wish you hadn't, where you slept a full 7, 8, even 9 hours and still wake up feeling like something's fundamentally off. Like your body showed up, but your energy didn't. For years, that was my normal. I chalked it up to stress, to the demands of modern life. I told myself it was just burnout, or maybe a low-grade depression. People would offer well-meaning but useless advice. Just go to bed earlier. Have you tried melatonin? Or worse, maybe you're just lazy. But deep down, I knew this wasn't about laziness. This was about a fundamental disconnection from myself, from the natural rhythms my body was designed to follow. And here's the profound realization that changed everything for me. You don't start your day when you wake up. You start it the night before. And the way you live across the other 23 hours determines how you feel in that critical first one. So I stopped chasing quick fixes and started rebuilding my rhythm piece by piece. Not with expensive gadgets or supplements, but with 4 simple habits that no one ever taught me. And yet, they transformed my mornings, my focus, and my life. In this video, I'm going to share those 4 habits. But I need to be clear with you from the start. This isn't a fix your sleep in 3 easy steps kind of video. Because you are not a machine. You don't need tweaking. What you need, what I needed, was a reconnection. To light, to time, to stillness, and to movement. Each of these habits sounds simple, but what they do inside your biology is anything but. And by the end of this, you might realize it's not that you've been failing to rest, it's that the world has been training you not to. Habit 1, light before screens. For years, my morning routine was a race to be caught up. The moment my eyes opened, my hand instinctively reached for my phone. Emails, messages, Instagram, news feeds, a relentless stream of information, almost always accompanied by a surge of stress. I didn't think twice about it. It was just how the world worked. In my mind, I was being productive, getting a head start. Let me just check one thing. But what I didn't realize is that the very first thing you feed your brain each morning becomes the lens through which you experience your entire day. And I was feeding it noise before water, before sunlight, before my own thoughts even had a chance to show up. No wonder I felt like I was constantly chasing my energy. I was waking up inside the chaos instead of rising out of it. Then, a piece of wisdom hit me like a ton of bricks. Dr. Andrew Huberman said, "Your brain doesn't know what time it is. It knows what light tells it." It was in that moment I realized my body wasn't confused. It was being actively misled by the artificial blue glow of a screen before the sun had even touched my face. So I tried something radical. I stopped grabbing my phone for the first 10 to 15 minutes after waking. Instead, I stood by an open window or stepped outside. I let the natural morning light hit my eyes. I let the fresh air hit my skin. And something profound shifted. I felt clearer, more grounded. My entire system was aligning with something older, more natural. Something it had been waiting for all along. This wasn't a productivity hack. It was pure biology. Let's break down the science. Your body operates on a master clock known as the circadian rhythm. Think of it as an internal conductor that controls nearly every system inside you. Hormones, body temperature, alertness, digestion, and mood. And the most powerful signal that sets this conductor's tempo is light. Not just any light, natural morning light. The kind that exists in the first few hours after sunrise, when the sun's angle produces a specific wavelength of blue light. When this natural light hits the receptors in your eyes, especially without sunglasses, or a window getting in the way, It sends a powerful signal to your brain. It's daytime now. Let's get up. This triggers a healthy, natural spike in cortisol, shuts off melatonin production, and gives your brain the green light to be alert, focused, and alive. Conversely, if your first light of the day is artificial and comes from a screen, your brain gets confused. It thinks it's still nighttime, delaying the natural wake-up process and leaving you feeling groggy and sluggish. To make matters worse, if the first thing you see is notifications, red dots, or urgent messages, your nervous system doesn't get a chance to ease into the day. It launches straight into defense mode. You begin your morning in a state of survival, not alignment. That's what I was doing every single day without realizing it. And once I stopped, once I gave my brain natural light before screens, my mornings became my own again. No rush, no reactivity, just a few minutes of quiet alignment. Sometimes I go for a walk outside. Sometimes I simply open a window and breathe deeply. But no matter what, I don't touch my phone until I've touched the real world first. It's one of the smallest changes I've ever made, but the difference it has made is immeasurable. I no longer wake up into the world. I wake up with it. And that is a completely different kind of energy. Habit 2, eat earlier than you think you need to. For a long time, 9:30 p.m. dinners were a regular part of my life. I'd finish work late, cook a heavy meal, eat it in front of a screen, and then crash into bed around midnight, thinking, okay, I earned this. But I always woke up foggy, heavy, and unrested. My body felt like it had been through a blackout, not a restful night. I blamed stress, screen time, even my mattress. But nobody ever told me the truth. If you're still digesting while you sleep, your body isn't restoring itself. It's working. This realization was a game changer. I was doing everything right after dinner, avoiding caffeine, dimming the lights. But I never questioned the timing of the meal itself. The science is incredibly simple. When you eat, especially a large or high-carb meal, your core body temperature rises. Your insulin levels spike. Your heart rate remains slightly elevated. All of these signals tell your nervous system, hey, we're still active. But for truly deep, cellular repairing sleep to happen, your body needs the exact opposite. A lower temperature, stable blood sugar, and no digestive load. The very thing I thought was comforting, a full belly at night, was keeping my system too busy to rest. My body was at work while I was lying in bed. So I tried something different. I started eating dinner 3 hours earlier, even when it felt inconvenient, even when it felt strange. I began eating around 6:30 p.m., focusing on lighter, less sugary meals. And you know what happened? I started getting sleepy naturally. Not the kind of sleepy where you pass out on the couch, but a gentle, rhythmic kind of sleepiness, as if my body was finally syncing with something older than my habits. I didn't even have to fight for sleep anymore. I just let go, and it came. Later, I learned the name for this, chrononutrition. It's the study of how when we eat affects our biology, not just what we eat. Research from the University of California shows that people who eat within 2 hours of bedtime lose out on slow-wave sleep, the deepest phase of sleep responsible for tissue repair, hormone regulation, and memory consolidation. And it's not just about sleep. Late eating disrupts melatonin production, messes with your circadian rhythm, and can even increase the risk of metabolic issues over time. But for me, the real proof wasn't in the data. It was in the difference I felt. I didn't wake up feeling starved or bloated. I woke up feeling light. My dreams felt clearer. My morning energy didn't have to be forced into place. It just arrived on its own. There's something primal and deeply human about eating with the sun. We weren't designed to feast under artificial light at midnight. We were designed to align with light, with rhythm, and with rest. Now, I know life doesn't always make this easy. You have work, kids, social commitments. But what if you tried just one meal earlier this week? What if you gave your body that quiet time it's been asking for? Not as a rigid rule, but as an invitation to feel different the next morning. Because I can tell you this, no supplement, no app, no breathing technique has ever made me feel as rested as going to bed with nothing left to digest. Habit 3, slow the night before it speeds you up. For a long time, my nights were loud. Not in volume, but in energy. The lights were bright, the content was endless, and my thoughts wouldn't stop racing. I'd tell myself I was unwinding by watching a thrilling show or scrolling through social media. But I was actually revving myself up in softer packaging. Blue light, bright screens, late-night snacks, all of this overstimulation was wrapped in the illusion of comfort. And I wondered why I couldn't sleep. Here's what no one told me. You don't fall asleep like flipping a switch. You fall asleep the way the sun sets, gradually, quietly, in layers. But we don't give ourselves a sunset anymore. We give ourselves Netflix autoplay, late-night work emails, or that one last scroll. Caught up. And then we expect our bodies to just shut off like machines. But we're not machines, we're rhythm, we're hormones, we're waves. And I was crashing into sleep like a wave hitting a concrete wall. Collision. So I decided to try something radical. I stopped stimulating myself at night. Not completely, not perfectly, but intentionally. I started calling 9 p.m. my soft boundary. The lights got warmer, the sounds got quieter, the pace slowed. I swapped harsh overhead lights for warm lamps, closed my laptop, left my phone in another room, put on some ambient music, and intentionally read a physically boring book. For the first few nights, it felt empty, like I was waiting for something to fill the silence. But then I realized the silence was the thing. That stillness I'd been avoiding was the doorway to everything my body had been asking for. My thoughts softened. My shoulders dropped. I started yawning before I even got into bed. And I hadn't yawned like that in years. This wasn't some evening routine checklist. This was a ritual. And that word matters. Because a routine is something you do to be productive. But a ritual is something you do to remember who you are. This was me remembering how to slow down. The science backs this up too. Creating a predictable wind-down pattern, even just dimming lights and avoiding screens, signals your body to increase melatonin, lower your heart rate, and enter parasympathetic mode. Your body gets ready to repair. And when you give it that softness, that time, that signal, it responds with better sleep quality, deeper rest, and a calmer morning. For me, this habit changed more than my sleep. It changed my relationship with time. Nights no longer felt like a hurried blur between dinner and collapse. They became a kind of sacred space, quiet, human, and mine. Now, when I skip this, I feel it. Not just in how I sleep, but in how I carry myself the next day. More reactive, less clear, as if I forgot to turn something off inside me. So if your nights have felt fast, noisy, and disconnected, maybe it's not that you need more sleep. Maybe you just need less of everything else. Try giving yourself a little bit a night before the night takes you. And see what your body does with that gift. Move before the world moves you. I used to wake up in fight or flight mode. Eyes open, phone in hand, brain already racing. I hadn't even stood up yet, and I was already behind. Behind on messages, behind on time, behind on life. And when you start your day that way, something subtle but dangerous happens. Your whole day becomes a series of reactions instead of a deliberate rhythm. So I decided to change that. Not with a brutal workout. Not with a rigid routine. Movement. Early. Gentle. Intentional. Within 30 minutes of waking up, I started doing something, anything, that got me into my body. Sometimes it was a few simple stretches while the kettle boiled. Sometimes it was a short walk outside with no destination. Sometimes it was just 5 minutes of dancing to a song with my eyes closed. And that changed everything. Here's what movement does. It signals to your brain, we are awake now. Not just surviving, not just scrolling, but fully alive. Your blood starts flowing. Your nervous system shifts gears. Your circadian rhythm locks in like a compass finally finding north. And most importantly, you stop waiting for energy. You generate it. Before I did this, my mornings felt like a heavy fog. I'd stare at screens, wait for caffeine to kick in, and hope my brain would boot up by noon. But once I added movement, something shifted. Not just in my body, but in my mind. I felt more present, more anchored, as if I was co-creating the day with life, instead of waiting for life to decide how I felt. And it doesn't take much. You don't need a gym. You don't need to sweat. You don't even need motivation. You just need to tell your body, hey, we're here. Let's begin. The science backs this up, of course. Morning movement increases dopamine and serotonin, which help regulate focus and mood throughout the day. It also raises your core body temperature, which reinforces your circadian rhythm, leading to better sleep later that night. The compound effect is very real. Move early, better focus, less stress, calmer evening, deeper sleep, easier wake up, repeat. Momentum is built not through force, but through rhythm. Now, I'll be honest, there are still days I don't feel like it. Days when the bed is too warm, when the world feels too heavy, when I want to stay curled up and pretend it's Sunday forever. But I move anyway. Not because I have to, but because I know what's on the other side of that first step. A little clarity, a little lightness, and a little proof that I can choose how I begin. That's all this habit is. A choice to begin before the world begins with you. A choice to arise, not just physically, but intentionally. Because the way you start echoes. And a slow, grounded beginning has a way of changing everything that comes after it. You're not broken, you're out of rhythm. Some people wake up and feel ready. No fog, no dread, no fight. I used to wonder what that felt like, because for most of my adult life, I thought waking up tired was just normal. That dragging feeling in the morning, I wore it like a badge. Guess I'm just not a morning person. But the truth is, I was out of rhythm, not broken, just misaligned. And no one tells you this, but the world we live in trains us to be out of rhythm. We eat late. We stare at light when it should be dark. We wake to noise. We fall asleep to noise. We rush, we react. We forget to breathe. And slowly, we lose our signal. We stop hearing what the body's been whispering all along. I'm not lazy, I'm tired. I don't need more caffeine, I need peace. I don't need to be fixed, I need to be felt. These 4 habits weren't a fix, they were a return. A way back to myself, to stillness, to sleep that actually restores instead of just pausing. And what changed wasn't just how I slept, it was how I woke up. More clear, more human, more in sync. If you've been waking up tired, maybe this isn't about sleep at all. Maybe it's about the rhythm beneath it. And maybe, just maybe, you're ready to hear it again. Not because you need to hustle better, not because you need to optimize anything, but because there's a version of you not far from here who wakes up feeling whole. And all it takes is a few small choices in the dark that help bring back your light. If this video helped you feel even a little more at peace in your body, maybe it's worth sticking around. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about remembering, one habit at a time, what it feels like to wake up as yourself. No pressure, no guilt. If you're ready to reclaim your mornings and your energy, let me know in the comments below which of these habits you're going to try first. And if you want more content like this to help you on your journey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. not to follow me, but to keep following you.